In this video, we are going to learn how to conquer the pen tool. The pen tool is going to be how all drawing is going to occur in Illustrator. Over on the toolbar, the second section down, your pen is right here on the top left. Just like in Photoshop, by the way, anytime that you click and hold, there are other choices underneath. So we'll talk about this add and delete anchor point. But some basics. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. Okay, we're going to click one time. Okay, that has created what is called an anchor point. Just like an anchor holds a boat in place, this anchor is going to hold the line I'm about to click in place. If I click one more time, I'm going to have what's a straight line. It's going to connect straight between the two. If you notice all these green highlight lines though that are happening, these are smart guides. Okay, so it's looking for intersections. That's all well and good if I am making a, I don't know, newspaper article, but for the most part I find them to be rather distracting. So I'm going to go up to View and click off the toggle on Smart Guides so that that goes away. Anytime that I want to attach to a line, if I've left it for any reason like I just did, I do need to go back to that last anchor and attach. You see how my pen tool is changing? It's got little asterisks and now it has a little slash like in bowling. So once I click it again, that means it's attached. Now here's where the tricky part gets. If I click and hold and now move my mouse, so I have not released the click from my mouse, as I drag down, the curve is going to grow up towards the top. If I move the mouse to the right, the curve follows in the opposite direction. If I move my mouse to the left, it moves in the opposite direction. This really is what gets everybody a little confused because that curve is going to move opposite from the direction that you move. And this is going to be a riding your bike moment. Okay, so it is not going to be exciting the first time you do it. I promise that you will overcome it. Just don't expect this first couple of days to be super easy. Notice that I have these two blue lines on either side of this anchor in the middle. These are called handles. They are places where I could come back and edit and change the shape of the line that I've already drawn, which is kind of fun. Okay, they are not actually there. They're not part of this design. Okay, only this black line will print. Those are not part of it. Okay, and having both handles can be a little cranky when you are continuing to draw. So again, now I've clicked away from my line. I do need to attach again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click and drag another curve. Notice two handles, one here, one here. I'm going to click back on the middle and that middle anchor, okay, where the end of that line is. Notice that my pen tool changes to this V shape. This is called converting the anchor. So I click. Now I got rid of this handle over here. What that's going to do for me is if I don't, so watch, I have this curve here. If I click without getting rid of this, if I just click over here, notice how it's given me a curve instead of a straight edge between there. And then notice as I drag over, I'm getting this strange S shape. What it's doing is creating an opposite curve, an S curve from what preceded it, which is all well and good if that's what you're looking for. But if it's not, it ends up becoming cranky because you really, it ties your hands and you can't make the decisions that you want. So the process of drawing will be to click back on the anchor, click and draw your edge, click back on the anchor, click and draw your edge, click back on the anchor. It will take a little bit of thought in the beginning, and then it will become secondhand, and you won't have to think about this so hard. Click and drag, go back, convert the anchor. Click and drag, convert the anchor. If you remember with some of our selection tools, in Photoshop, when I return back to the beginning, I get that little circle. That is that universal Adobe sign that says that you've completed a path. This is closing my shape. It is important to make sure that you have that happen. So again, really quickly, here's one anchor. If I click without doing anything else, I get a straight line. If I click and drag, I get a curve. I go back, I convert the anchor, I click and drag, I continue to make whatever shape I want. And when I'm all done, I return back to the beginning and I get that circle. It is important that you are closing your shapes. This will be important so that you can color and add gradients as you like. Now, the whole name of this is called a Bezier curve. Oop, I can't type. I am sure that is not how we say it, because this is some French dude, so I'm sure it's like Bezier or something very fancy. We'll have to ask Madame how to do it someday. But he is the guy who invented this, and then we named this curve after him. Figuring out how to use your pen tool, that is going to be the key to figuring out Illustrator.